6-on-6, 7-on-7 tag match finishes, or the one-on-one altercation between Laurinaitis and Theodore Long happens at WrestleMania, which is the more obvious angle and the more obvious outcome from all of this. I'm favoring Laurinaitis because he's created a lot more controversy than Theodore Long has. Theodore Long's been caught up in a lot of controversy, but he hasn't created enough. We've seen people like Eric Bischoff and Laurinaitis create double the amount of controversy that Theodore Long's been caught up in over the last 8 years. So I really think with the length of time that Theodore Long has been the general manager of different shows like SmackDown and ECW, I think that John Laurinaitis, given the amount of controversy that he's created over the short time that he's been the interim general manager of Raw and the number of years that he's been the executive vice president of talent relations, something he never lets us forget. I love the way he keeps referring to himself as the executive vice president of talent relations. That never gets old to me. It might get old to you because you're sick of hearing it, kind of like how you're sick of seeing Cena and The Rock all the time on WWE television, and John Cena be a knockoff of Super Dave Osborne, or someone like, who's the guy I'm trying to think of that he puts me in mind of. But I really think with everyone being sick of seeing the same thing over and over and over again, it's going to be a bit different, seeing one general manager for both shows. It's going to be really cool, and the potential of the shows unifying for the first time in 10 years is up in the air right now, but it could possibly happen with the unification of the general manager role, the probability of these champions unifying and becoming one. There's a lot that could happen at WrestleMania 28. I remember reading an article of the potential of all the titles unifying, the champions becoming one. We could have the potential of having one general manager of both shows. It's something that's been being demanded for a number of years. So a lot could potentially happen from all of this, and a lot could come from WrestleMania 28. This was the WrestleMania they were planning to unify every title. We're not going to see it at WrestleMania. We could see it by probably Survivor Series, with the Survivor Series anniversary coming up this year, being the 26th or 27th anniversary of Survivor Series. So I really think that a lot can happen from the general manager angle, which has been developing from John Laurinaitis and Theodore Long, which CM Punk and Daniel Bryan have been caught up in. We've seen great matches from Punk and Daniel Bryan, definitely over the last number of weeks, because of this Theodore Long, John Laurinaitis thing. So at least we're getting good matches from Punk and Bryan. So, a lot could happen, and I think this is going to go longer than just WrestleMania. I think we're going to see Laurinaitis and Theodore Long feud, if not Punk and Triple H and Laurinaitis will be involved in something after WrestleMania. So a lot can happen. I'm definitely favoring Laurinaitis. I'd love to see Long as the permanent general manager of both shows. I just don't think it's going to happen. It was inaugurally brought up by Otunga and Laurinaitis for this thing to happen at WrestleMania. More superstars have been endorsing Laurinaitis than have been endorsing Theodore Long, although he'll get the bulk of those, I think, for general manager, permanent general manager of both shows. I think he'll get the bulk of votes, definitely. But we'll have to just wait and see what happens. Tell me who you think will be the permanent general manager of both shows, either on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, by leaving us a comment or tweeting us on Twitter. I'd love to know who you think would be the permanent general manager of both shows, and who would be the better general manager of both shows. Definitely Theodore Long would be the more entertaining general manager, but he's caught up in more controversy than he creates. That's the advantage that Laurinaitis has, and that's why I'm favoring Laurinaitis. Laurinaitis has created more controversy than anybody. The last guy to create just as much controversy probably would have been Bischoff, because he was involved with WCW. He used to ruin the results of Raw. He used to, duplicate a lot of things WWE would do when he was running it for Turner, and Turner was financially backing WCW. He created a lot of controversy, and Laurinaitis has been the first guy to create just as much controversy. So that's why I think that Laurinaitis has an advantage, has the edge to become the full-time general manager of, both shows. I know over the last number of weeks I have been favoring a lot of heel people, like The Rock and, Laurinaitis and Cena, but I really think that heels have an advantage over a lot of people, not only because they create a lot of controversy, but because you can't stand them, and that's why they last as long as they do. That's why Laurinaitis wasn't removed as the interim general manager of Raw, rather, because he created a lot of controversy, and that's what's keeping him around. That's what kept Eric Bischoff around for over 4 years before he was fired and put on trial by McMahon. He's done a lot, and I think that it's going to continue for him. I think that he's going to be there for a while, if not as a general manager, but as a full-time in-ring competitor like we saw back in the 70s. So a lot can happen for Laurinaitis. I don't think that Marty's going to come back and they're going to reform their tag team they had. I don't think he's going to be just as good a competitor as his brother, Animal. I think that he's going to be there for a while because of the controversy he's created. And if not on television, he's going to put out a book like Bischoff did, and have some kind of catchy title like Bischoff did, and sell it on some cheap website he purchases probably from GoDaddy.com for a cheap price. Laurinaitis is going to be there for a while. He's going to be there doing something, if not as the general manager when it's taken over by someone like Theodore Long on both shows. He'll be there to promote a book or something he'll do outside of the business, because he's created just as much controversy as someone like Bischoff when he was running WCW for Ted Turner, and Turner was financially backing him. And I still believe to this day that if Bischoff was to have purchased WCW from Turner when he was given the opportunity, WCW would be the number one show, because WCW created a lot of controversy when Bischoff had a lot to do with that controversy, and created a lot of it. I mean, he was, if not giving out the results of Monday Night Raw when it was a taped 1-hour show, he was duplicating everything WWE were doing and reproducing Vince McMahon's talent that had left WWE for a show like WCW. So I really think that even though Eric Bischoff, just reproduced talent that he had bought from Vince, he created a lot of controversy. I think that his book, Controversy Creates Cash, definitely explains everything that Eric Bischoff did and why he did it. Sure, WCW reproduced a lot of talent that had left WWE for a company like WCW, but they did a lot. I think that they deserve a lot of credit where people don't give them credit. Sure, we saw a lot of unorthodox things done. Terry Taylor would come in, point at everybody and say, you're working, with no notices or anything being given prior to it all happening. A lot of planning would happen 5 minutes before a live show for WCW, but they were the first ones to attempt live TV back during the war. They were the top company for over 86 weeks and remained that for consecutively 86 weeks. And Eric Bischoff became nothing more than an insult in the mind of Vince McMahon, and was just put on TV to be made fun of at the expense of McMahon. So I really think that a lot could happen from this general manager thing at WrestleMania, and something probably will happen that people will be talking about for a number of weeks. Tell me what you think, either on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter here about this thing. Our weekly poll on our website currently right now is, who do you think will be the permanent general manager of both shows, either John Laurinaitis or Theodore Long? I'm definitely favoring Laurinaitis because of the controversy, and that's why I give him my definite, okay to be the general manager, you can call it what you want, of both shows, because of the controversy he's created. And I would enjoy seeing Laurinaitis as the full-time general manager of both shows, rather than I would see Theodore Long as the permanent general manager for the next 10 years. I don't think Theodore Long has another 10 years in his run with WWE in the wrestling business, because he's been around ever since the territories. But I think that he has a considerable amount of years left in him. We'll see what happens at WrestleMania anyway. The conclusion of WrestleMania will definitely tell a lot about the direction for WWE over the next 5 years. You can't always rely on someone like The Rock and Triple H, said over and over again by a lot of no-little names in the business, but I think that you can definitely rely on them for the next couple of years. Definitely if you're trying to make a lot of money. I think that the brand extension has definitely allowed WWE to create a lot of diversity and generate a lot of dollar value. JBL said himself in a documentary WWE had put together a number of years ago. The split brand idea definitely allowed them to have more pay-per-views and make more money and have more tour dates, if anything. But I really, really think that, this unification of the show, the general manager role, the potentiality of having one champion has been something that's been demanded for a number of years, and it could potentially happen, and it's the reason why we've been on air here for almost 45 minutes. I think this is cool. I think that this makes WrestleMania more interesting than it's already been. It definitely adds a lot of diversity and a lot of questionability to the WrestleMania show. You're wondering who's going to be the permanent general manager of both shows. You have your favorites going into it. You have your own scenarios between yourself and your friends, your internet buddies. I think that it could potentially come down to anything. And I think that, for me to say that Laurinaitis is going to be the permanent general manager of both shows is definitely far-fetched. I mean, Theodore Long is favored over John Laurinaitis. The babyface will be the one that's always favored. But the heel is the one that's always overlooked, but always the one that comes in on top more often than they probably should be. So that's why I'm saying Laurinaitis. I want to be a bit different from everybody else, and that's why I'm putting together this video blog on our YouTube channel, because I think that it could be anybody, but I really think that it could be Laurinaitis because of the controversy he's created. Christian, Mark Henry, and Del Rio definitely think so, and I think that it could definitely come down to Laurinaitis, and he could be the general manager of both shows for a while before he's replaced. Don't get me wrong, I think that, Theodore Long's been a great general manager over the last 8 years, and he's given us a lot of great feuds, like JBL and Cena, JBL and The Undertaker and Heidenreich, The Undertaker and Khali, The Undertaker and Batista, to name some of them. But I think that his time in the WWE